Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create a queue in Azure's storage account. So what we can do, log into Azure portal. Next thing, we will have to show you the flow for creating a storage account. Then we will move on to queue storage, right? So get into your portal, then click services, then click storage, and then choose storage account. Now here I already have one storage, so I will just show you how to create one storage account. Now we will click on create. Here you can see the project details. You have subscription, then a resource group to choose, then instance details. You can add storage account name, then region, then performance, where you can add the standard and premium option. Then you can choose between variety of redundant storage. So locally redundant is the cheapest option, along with it stays within single data center and not spread out. If it does spread out, it becomes geo redundant and the cost will increase. Same with zone. If your geo redundant storage is spread across zone, then it is zone redundant, and those zone again are spread across other geo redundant storage. It will be geo zone redundant storage. Again, it becomes costly in that case, right? Now we can move to advanced tab, where you can see it allows access for REST API operations. There is also public access on containers, and there is also storage account key access option for your storage account. There is a minimum TLS version and permitted scope, right? Then comes your data lake storage. You can enable the namespace option along with blob storage, where you can choose SFTP option, and there is an FS hierarchical namespace option that should be enabled for accessing these two, right? Now comes the Azure files. You can enable the file shares so that those options will be available for you. There is access tier option for blob. As you can see, most frequently accessed data will be in hot storage and less frequent would be in cold storage. Then comes networking, where you can see network access from all the networks, which becomes a public. Then if you have limited endpoints, then it becomes private, and you can disable all public and private and keep it accessible through portal only. There is also routing option, which is going to keep things for Microsoft network routing and internal routing, these two options. Then comes data protection option, where you can see recovery is possible for your files, where you can enable soft delete for blobs, then soft delete for containers, then soft delete for file shares as another option. Here you can see tracking option for enabling your blobs, then enable your blob change feed options. So both these are possible. Then comes access control, where you can choose to enable version level immutable support. Then comes encryption. You can see the encryption type, Microsoft managed keys, customer managed keys. So default I'm choosing is Microsoft manage. Now you can enable support for all service types if you choose customer managed keys. I keep this option always. You can also enable encryption for all file types. And then comes tags. So we are not going to use that because I'm not organizing anything here, but if you happen to organize your resources, make sure to use tags. Now if you go to review, it will validate things, but I haven't done much, so it will fail. Considering I have kept few fields empty, then it will fail obviously. So I will just move on to the existing storage account, which is already created for me, and you can access things here, right? So now let's move on to our topic in hand, which is queue. So go to data storage and click queue. Now Earlier, some of the options of queue were available only in storage browser. Now queue can have all the options that you can access through storage browser. So there are multiple ways to go to queues. So currently we don't have any queue, so we will create one. Let's name this queue my queue and click OK to add it. Here the URL for that is quickly created. Right clicking on this at the end will show you option to delete it, access policy setup, and edit the metadata. Right, so we will move out of that and click on queue. Right here you can see I can add a message to that queue by clicking on add message. Now here you see I need to add message, so let's say right now this message can expire in 7 working days. Then I can also encode the message body in base 64. Now I will click on OK, so that message will be visible here. Right now if we click on the message, on the right hand side we will see the properties. So if you click on ID, it will be visible. So message body, insertion time, expiration, and DQ is visible. Right now there are multiple ways to get rid of message. You can clear queue, delete message, and refresh. Same can be accessed from your storage browser. So if you go to storage browser and go to queues, here you can find the queue as well. Notice the message text showing the same property. So you can go through either one of these two options to create your queues. Also you get option to delete the message, clear queue, right? And you can also edit the columns that are visible for you, right? So there are multiple ways to do your queue storage, and you can use your messages and set them for expiry. You can set them to never expire if there are certain type of messages you want to put on, right? If you happen to click on the message, it will show you the same output here, right? So you get the idea how to work with messages from the storage browser. If you go to data storage and click on queues, you will also find similar options. Now let's take a look at some of the options assigned for our queue. Now we can set the metadata. Here you can set the key value. Then comes access policy. You can add the policy for, let's say, identifier. Let's make it yes, then permission read and process update. Can also add, but read, update, read and process are two that you can enable, or just keep it read. Make expiry to next day, click OK, and you see successfully added storage data policy. Now let's save the changes. Now we have saved the queue, right? You can see the option to edit delete from here as well. Now let's take a look at what happens if we choose the queue URL. Most likely it will give us some sort of error that there is nothing to show. As you can see, nothing to show, and it will throw an error, which is obvious. Now if we choose to delete this, can we go through this option, or we can select this and click delete? So that's one of the options. So what I will do is I will use storage browser for clearing the queue in a fancy way. So go to queue, and then select your queue, right? And you can delete from here. Alternatively, click on queue, go inside that option, clear queue, and message will be deleted. But you will notice only message is deleted, queue is still there. So I will select queue and then click delete. Now even queue is deleted from here, as well as data storage queues. So this was the queues in Azure storage account.